welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find the next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie, and it's been a few weeks since I've done a video, so looking at the calendar, I saw that Solitude Day is this weekend, so Jill and I are doing picks for all you introverts out there, so I'll turn it over to Jill for her first pick.
So my first pick is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Mosh Fig. This is a novel about a young woman's effort to duck the ills of the world by embarking on an extended hibernation with the help of one of the worst psychiatrists in the annals of literature and the battery of medicines she prescribes. So, sounds kind of good. Our narrator should be happy, shouldn't she? She's young, thin, pretty, and a recent Columbia graduate. Works at an easy job at a hip art gallery, lives in an apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, paid for, like the rest of her needs, by her inheritance. But there's a dark and vacuous hole in her heart, and it isn't just the loss of her parents, or the way her Wall Street boyfriend treats her, or her sadomasochistic relationship with her best friend Riva. It's the year 2000 in a city of glitter with wealth and possibility. What could be so terribly wrong? My Year of Rest and Relaxation is a powerful answer to that question. Though the history of the years spent under the influence of a truly mad combination of drugs designed to heal our heroine from her alienation from this world, Moshfig shows us how reasonable, even necessary alienation can be. Both tender and blackly funny. This was published in 2018, so it sounds like it is for you introverts because it tells you why it's a good.
My first pick is The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman. This was published back in 2019. The only child of a single mother, Nina has her life just as she wants it. She has a job in a bookstore, a kick-butt trivia team, a world-class planner, and a cat named Phil. If she sometimes suspects there may be more to life than reading, she just shrugs it off and picks up a new book. When the father Nina never knew existed suddenly dies, leaving behind innumerable sisters, brothers, nieces, and nephews, she is horrified. They all live close by. They're all, or mostly all, excited to meet her. She'll have to speak to strangers. This is going to be a disaster. And as if that wasn't enough, Tom, her trivia nemesis, has turned out to be kind of cute, funny, and deeply interested in getting to know her. Doesn't he realize what a terrible idea that is? So Nina starts considering her options. Number 1, completely change her name and appearance. Too drastic. She likes her hair. Number 2, flee to a deserted island. Hard pass. See coffee. And number 3, hide in a corner of her apartment and rock back and forth. Already doing that. It's time for Nina to come out of her comfortable shell, but she isn't convinced real life could ever live up to fiction. It's going to take a brand new family, a persistent suitor, and the combined effects of ice cream and trivia to make her turn her own fresh page. So I thought this one sounded like a cute pick. I put this
I like the cover, too.
Yeah, I put this on my list of books to read. The Bookish Life of Nina Hill.
My next one is called How Not to Die Alone by Richard Roper, and I'm so glad for the opportunity to talk about this book because I've seen it go through and it looks hilarious just from the picture with him getting hit in the head with the... It's a darkly funny and life-affirming debut novel for readers of Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, which I almost picked for this one, but I thought I talked about it way too much. Yeah. But it's a good one, too, and it's got an introvert. Andrew's day-to-day is a little grim, searching for the next of kin for those who die alone. Thankfully, he has a loving family waiting for him when he gets home to help wash the day's cares away. At least that's what his co-workers believe. Andrew didn't mean for the misunderstanding to happen, yet he's become trapped in his own white lie. The fantasy of his wife and 2 kids has become a pleasant escape from his lonely one-bedroom with only Ella Fitzgerald records for company. But when a new employee, Peggy, breezes into his life like a breath of fresh air, Andrew is shaken out of his routine. She doesn't notice the wall he's been safely hiding behind, and their friendship promises to break it down. Andrew must choose. Does he tell the truth and start really living his life, but risk losing his friendship with Peggy? Or will he stay safe and alone behind the facade? How Not to Die Alone is about the importance of taking a chance in those moments when we have the most to lose. Sharp and funny, warm and real, it's the kind of big-hearted story we all need. It was published in 2019, so it's kind of new-ish.
Like the cover on that one.
I know. Great covers today.
My second pick is by Susan Elizabeth Phillips, and this is Dance Away With Me, and I wasn't even familiar with this author. This was published back in 2020, and this had 4.04 for its Goodreads review, so it had a good rating. Run as fast as you can. When life throws her one setback too many, midwife and young widow Tess Hartsong takes off for Runaway Mountain. In this small town high in the Tennessee mountains, surrounded by nature, she hopes to outrun her heartbreak and find the solace she needs to heal. But instead of peace and quiet, she encounters an artist with a craving for solitude, a fairy tale sprite with too many secrets, a helpless infant, a passel of curious teens, and a town suspicious of outsiders, especially one as headstrong as Tess. Just as headstrong is Ian North, a difficult, gifted man with a tortured soul, a man who makes Tess question everything. Is running away to this new life in the mountains, Tess wonders, what she was looking for? Or has she lost herself? Or has she found her future? So you'll have to read the book and see how this one turns out. Like I said, it got a great rating on Goodreads.
I've not heard that author either, and her name is really big on that book, so makes me think she must be somebody. My next one is The Reading List by Sarah Nisha Adams. This is for the introverts that are hoping to not be introverted because it has a way out. Widower Mukesh lives a quiet life in London borough of Ealing after losing his beloved wife. He shops every Wednesday, goes to temple, and worries about his granddaughter Priya, who hides in her room reading while he spends his evenings watching nature documentaries. Alicia is a bright but anxious teenager working at the local library for the summer when she discovers a crumpled up piece of paper in the back of a To Kill the Mockingbird book. It's a list of novels that she's never heard of before. Intrigued and a little bored with her slow job at the checkout desk, she impulsively decides to read every book on the list, one after another. As each story gives off its magic, the books transport Alicia from the painful reality she's facing at home. When Mukesh arrives at the library, desperate to forge a connection with his bookworm granddaughter, Alicia passes along the reading list, hoping that it will be a lifeline for him too. Slowly, the shared books create a connection between two lonely souls, as fiction helps them escape their grief and everyday troubles and find joy again. So this was published in 2021, and I am fully in favor of its message that the library will bring people together with their books.
Did you read that one?
I did not.
I did. I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. That was recommended to me by one of our patrons, and it was cute. My third book is actually one I've done before, I think maybe with the classics. So this is Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude. William Kennedy from the New York Times Book Review said this book is the first piece of literature since the Book of Genesis that should be required reading for the entire human race.
Wow.
This author has done nothing less than to create in the reader a sense of all that is profound, meaningful, and meaningless in life. So that was pretty high praise. This book tells the story of the rise and fall, birth and death of the mythical town of Macondo through the history of the Buenidia family. It's inventive, amusing, sad, and alive with unforgettable men and women. It's brimming with truth, compassion, and a lyrical magic that strikes the soul. This novel is a masterpiece in the art of fiction. Since it was first published back in 1967 in Buenos Aires, this book has been translated into 46 languages and has sold more than 50 million copies. It remains widely acclaimed and is recognized as one of the most significant works both in the Hispanic literary canon and in world literature. So if you're looking for a classic to read, 100 Years of Solitude.
I got to read that one too. Catch up on the classics. My next one is called Rules for Visiting by Jessica Frances Kane. This was published also in 2019. I have a lot of 2019s here. At 40, May Attaway is more at home with plants than people. Over the years, she's turned inward, finding pleasure in language, her work as a gardener, and keeping her neighbors at arm's length while keenly observing them. But when she is unexpectedly granted some leave from her job, May is inspired to reconnect with 4 once close friends. She knows they will never have a proper reunion, so she goes one by one to each of them. A student of the classics, May considers her journey a female odyssey. What might the world have had if, instead of waiting, Penelope had set out on an adventure of her own? Rules for Visiting is a woman's exploration of friendship in the digital age. Deeply alert to the nobility and ridiculousness of ordinary people, May savors the pleasures along the way. Afternoon ice cream with a long-lost friend, surprise postcards from an unexpected crush, and a moving encounter with ancient beauty. Though she gets a taste of viral online fame, May chooses to bypass her friends' perfectly cultivated online lives to instead meet them in their messy analog ones. Ultimately, May learns that a best friend is someone who knows your story, and she inspires us all to master the art of visiting. So that's kind of fun.
My fourth pick is a wilderness, being alone in the wilderness pick. This is A Solitude of Wolverines, a novel of suspense by Alice Henderson, and it's actually the first book in a series featuring an intrepid wildlife biologist who's dedicated to saving endangered species, and she relies on her superior survival skills to thwart those who aim to stop her. So, Alex tracks wolverines on foot and by cameras positioned in remote areas of a wildlife sanctuary in Montana. But when she reviews the photos, she discovers disturbing images of an animal of a different kind, a severely injured man, seemingly lost and wandering in the wild. After searches for the unknown man come up empty, local law enforcement is strangely set on just dismissing this case altogether, raising Alex's suspicions. Then another invasive predator trespasses onto the preserve. The hunter turns out to be another human, and the prey is the wildlife biologist herself. Alex realizes too late that she has seen too much. She stumbled onto a far-reaching illegal operation and now has become the biggest threat. In this wild and dangerous landscape, Alex's life depends on staying one step ahead, using all she knows about the animal world and what it takes to win the brutal battle for survival. So, Alone in the Wilderness, a story of survival. So if you're interested in a series, this is the first book in the series.
I love Alone in the Wilderness books. My next one is The Wisdom of Sally Red Shoes by Ruth Hogan. Masha is drowning. Once a spirited, independent woman with a rebellious streak, her life has been forever changed by a tragic event 12 years ago. Unable to let go of her grief, she finds solace in the silent company of the souls of her local Victorian cemetery at the town's Lido, where she seeks refuge underwater, safe from the noise and pain. But a chance encounter with two extraordinary women, the fabulous and wise Kitty Muriel, a convent girl turned magician's wife, turned 70-something roller disco fanatic, and the mysterious Sally Red Shoes, a bag lady with a prodigious voice, opens up a new world of possibilities and the chance to start living again, until the fateful day when her past comes roaring back. So, this Wisdom of Sally Red Shoes.
My last pick comes from the biography section, and this is I Might Regret This, Essays, Drawings, Vulnerabilities, and Other Stuff by Abby Jacobson. This was published back in 2018. When Abby Jacobson announced to friends and acquaintances that she planned to drive across the country alone, she was met with lots of questions and opinions. Why wasn't she going with friends? Wouldn't it be incredibly lonely? The north route is better. The southern route is the way to go. You should bring mace. Is it safe for a woman? And a common one, why? So Abby has always found comfort in solitude, and she needed space to step back and hit the reset button. As she spent time in each city and town on her way to Los Angeles, she mulled over the big questions. What do I really want? What is the worst possible scenario in which I could run into my ex? How has the decision to wear my shirts tucked in been pivotal in my adulthood? In this collection of anecdotes, observations, and reflections, all told in the sharp, funny, wildly relatable voice that has endeared her to critics and fans alike, readers will feel like they're in the passenger seat on a fun and ultimately inspiring journey. It also has some original illustrations by the author, and this author is the co-creator and co-star of the hit series Broad City. So, this is her if you recognize her, and she's got drawings in here, her phone of her maps, and it's filled with different stories of her journey across the United States. So if you want to take a leap and travel along, you can be the passenger in this book.
Well, we helped you find something to read if you're interested in reading about introverts and solitude and that kind of thing.
Like, comment, share. You can find our videos on our Kimberly Public Library Facebook page. Jill posts a link on our website, which links you to the YouTube channel. Love to hear from you. It's nice to be back making videos with Jill. So thank you for watching, and until next time, bye-bye. Bye.